Hi guys, I'm back, and I've done some modifications to the SNK arcade stick. I've done some more modifications since the last video I showed you, whereby I used the first hack, but I've also installed the latest hack and done some frankensteining of all the latest bits people have done out there. So without any further delay, let's go in and show you what I've done. Go to Hylo stick. Still got the blue artwork for the main menu, but I've changed some artwork round, and notice I've got a red background, but also I've changed the font of the title of the game. It's a much darker, thicker font, more bold, and also the numbers of the game in the corner. That's all changed. I've also changed the artwork from 2D artwork to 3D artwork for all 150 Neo Geo games. Okay, and I've tested all 152 and they're all working fine. Okay, right, let's change the game set. Go into game selection and go to another folder called Capcom CP system. 80 games there. Now these 80 games are slightly different to a previous 80 I had before. I went through them and removed a few foreign language games and added a few more. As you can see, the background's changed again, and I've also changed the cursor icon from Turbo God to Mega Man. Okay, so games are slightly different. I'll quickly show you what I've got now. So, and against 3D art. So I've got 1941, 44, 19XX with War Against Destiny, Three Wonders, Alien vs Predator, Armed Warriors, Battle Circuit, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, Capcom, Sports Club, Capcom World 2, Captain Commander, Carrier Wings, Cyberbots, Darkstalkers, Dimahoo, Dungeons and Dragons, the two games, Dynasty Warriors, Eco Fighters, Final Fight, Forgotten Worlds, Ghouls and Ghosts, Gigaween, Hyper Street Fighter 2 Anniversary, JoJo's the two games for that, Knights of Round, Lost Worlds, Magic Swords, Mars Matrix, Marvel Superheroes and Marvel Superheroes vs Street Fighter, Marvel vs Capcom, Mega Man 2, the two Mega Man games, Mega Twins, Mercs, Mighty Pain, Monster Bomber Duo, Ultimate Team Battle, Nemo, Night Stalkers, Night Warriors, Darkstalkers Revenge, Pain 3, Pinnacles, Turbo Fighters, Pro Gear, Puzzle Lip 2, Prison Dragons, Red Earth, Wings of Destruction Slamasters 2, Saturday Night Slamasters, SNK vs Capcom, and SNK vs Capcom SVS Chaos Plus, so it's a slightly different version of the same game. Street Fighter Alpha Warriors Dream, Street Fighter Alpha 2, Street Fighter Alpha 3, Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, Hyper Fighting, Street Fighter 2, Giant Attack, Fight for Future, Street Fighter 3 New Generation, 0, 02 Alpha, and Strider, Super Gen Fight Mini Mix, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Super Street Fighter 2 with new challenges, King of Dragons, Punisher, UN Squadron, Vampire Hunter 2 Darkstalkers Revenge, Vampire Savior 2 with Lord of Vampire, and Vampire Savior Lord of Vampire first one of the two. Fourth, Boys of Fate, Willow, X-Men, X-Men vs Street Fighter, and X-Men Children of the Atom. Okay. I've checked and I've gone through and checked all the ones and they do all work. Okay. And next game selection. Final Burn Alpha Phone, which is all the arcade games. 230. I downloaded the latest ROM set from people who are doing all the Hylo hacks and Frankenstein them together, and out of about 410 arcade ROMs which need to be Final Burn Alpha, a lot of them don't work. Basically, I've changed the ROMs, tried different ROM sets and everything. Some had the wrong artwork too, so I had to change that too. I've kept with the 2D art because with the arcade games it's really difficult finding 3D art for all of them. So I just kept the 2D because it's just simple, especially with some more obscure games. I've tested all these 230 games out, spent about a lot of time doing this, and they're all working. Because I know some games that people may have in some hack versions, such as Raiden 2, that doesn't always work. I've got it working on here. Other games that don't work, Truxton, the first Truxton. Some games have slowed down, like In the Hunt, that's way too slow, so I removed that. And AB Cop, the controls don't work on that, that's more set up for like a motorbike, controller type thing. So yeah, so some games simply do not work and some don't load at all, really don't. So it's hit and miss. So Just be mindful, guys, if you download, large ROM selections, the games may not work. But if you want to remove them because they don't work, watch the second half of this video and I can show you through some of the options on how to do some mods to your controls. But this is what I've got anyway. And if you're interested in terms of the artwork, I went for... let me show you. Go into a game. Let's go into save. There, you can see the artwork a bit better there. Final burner, so the artwork I went for. Save, back, exit. Okay. So quickly go through the games. 1942, 1943 about midway, 1945 K3, 4D Warriors, 88 games. 99 The Last Warrior, Action Fighter, Aero Fighter Sonic Wings, Air Attack, Air Buster, Air Galley, Alcon, Axe Kid, Alien Storm, Alien Syndrome, Aliens, Alpha Mission, Armed Police Backrider, Astronax, Asterix, Adventure Spirit, Bad Dudes, Batman Part 2, Batsugan, Atlantis, Battle Parade, Battle Chopper, you have to excuse my phone going in the background there, Battle Gregor, Beirut, Bells and Whistles, Biome Toy, Black Tiger, Blades of Steel, Blaze On, Block Out, Bomb Jack, Bonk's Adventure, Breakthrough, Burger Time, Cabal, Kadash, Cannon Dancer, Caveman Ninja, Centipede, Chernoff, Circus Charlie, City Bomber, Commando, Contra, Cotton, Crime City, Crime Fighters, Dead Connection, Demon's World, Dig Dug, Doden Patchy, managed to finally find a working one for that. Dogion, Don Patchy. A lot of people have a one artwork for Don Patchy. They're the same as Doden Patchy, so again, change the artwork. Donkey Kong 3, Junior, Double Dragon 3, Double Dragon 2, Dragon Breed, Dragon Master, Dragon Spirit, Dream Soccer, Dynamite Ducks, Earth Defense Force, Esperade, Elite SWAT, Fantasy Zone, Final Star Force, Fixate, Flying Shark, Football Champ, Formation, Armed Death, Fogger, Gaia Crusaders, Galaga, Galaga 3, Galaga 88, Galaxian, Galmeads, Gal Plus, Gradius, Great 1000 Miles Rally, Grindstormer, Guardians, Ordention, Mackay 2, Guerrilla War, Gunsmoke, Gunbird, Gyrus, Hammer and Harry, Hardhead, Haunted Castle, Castlevania, Hellfire, Hitler, Ice Tower, Hook, Eco Warriors, JJ Squawkers, Jackal, Chucky Chan, Junior Pac-Man, Kangaroo, Kid Nicky, Kingdom Grand Prix, Comfrey Master, Legendary Warriors, Rygar, Legendary Wings, Lemmings, Life Force of Salamander, Liquid Kids, Load Runner, Mission in Action, Magical Cat Adventure, Magical Crystals, Mappy, Master Riders, Messengers Z, Metal Black, Michael Jackson Moonwalker, Mini Megea 2, Great 1000 Mary Valley, Millipede, Mooncrester, Mr. Goman, Miss Pac-Man Champion Edition, My Hero, Nemesis, Night Slashers, Ninja Gaiden, Ninja Spirit, Nitro Ball, Omega Fire, Osman, Outzone, Prisoner of War, Pack and Pain, Bang, Pac-Man, Pac-Mania, Pain, Philios, Phoenix, Pinball Action, Puyon, Popeye, Power Instinct, Prehistoric R in 1930, Puyo the Ruler, Kruber, Rabbit Punch, that had one artwork, Raiden DX, Raiden 2, I managed to find a working one for that, Rally Bike, Renegade, White City, Robocop 1 and 2, Rogar, Armour Force, R-Type 2. They did have R-Type Leo on here, but it's way too much slowdown. Spy, Spartan Bombers, Saint Dragon, Samurai Aces, SAR, Search and Rescue, Scramble, Secret Agent, Section Z, Sega Ninja, Shadow Force, Shaylin's Road, Sidearms, Hyperdyne Game, Silent Dragon, Silkworm, Sky Soldiers, Slap Fight, Snow Brothers 1 and 2, Saucer Striker, Spelunker 1 and 2, Splatterhouse, Squash, Street Smart, Strikers 1945 and 45-2, Sunset Riders, Super Burger Time, Super Contra, Super Pac-Man, Super Punch Out, Super Space Invaders 91, Super X, T-Boy Blues, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Turtles in Time, Terror Force, Tetris and Tetris 2005, The Berlin Wall. Sometimes that has a worn artwork. The Cliffhanger, Edward Randy, A Final Round, Ninja Kids, The Simpsons, Thunder and Lightning, Thunder Cross 1 and 2, Thunder Fox, Thunder K, Transformation, Tiger Heli, Tiger Road, Time Twilight, Track and Field, Trojan, Truxton 2. A lot of the Truxton 1 on the ROM sets do not work. I couldn't get a working Truxton 1. Tomopop, Trim B, Trim Cobra, Warner, Warrior Blade, Rastan Saga Episode 3, Warriors of Fate, Whistle of Fire, Wonderboy 3, Monster Lair, and Wonder Boy Monster Land, that sometimes has a worn artwork. World Rally, WWF Superstars, ER Kung Fu, and Saxon at the end. I did remove with Saxon because there's no audio, there's no sound or for whatever reason playing on it. So that's it, guys. As you can see, I've done a few modifications. The main menu is still blue background. If you like the ROM set, what you've got to see here, by all means, you know, if you want just a copy of what I've got, we can sort it out. Just message me. But if you want to download your own ROM set and do modifications, blah blah blah, then I'm going to show you some tips in the next part of this video. So until then, take care and bye. Hi guys, this is just a quick tutorial video for modifying the Neo Geo arcade stick or using the Hylo hack. If you're modifying it, you probably want to download some ROMs, and if you do, I recommend that if you're looking at arcade games that you focus on Final Burn FPA, Final Burn Alpha ROMs, not MAME, and you keep them in a zipped format. Now, if you're using websites to download these ROMs, there may be a lot of malware about. So my first tip is to, if you've got a Mac or even PC, is Malwarebytes. You can get free Malwarebytes software that does the trick. So for example, if I go into Open Malwarebytes, and I just do scan, within a few minutes it scans the computer for possible malware and puts it into quarantine. And this is really something you should have on your computer before you start messing around with downloading ROMs, and I highly recommend it, even if you've got some other antivirus protection, to have this. And just make sure whenever you download ROMs that you do a quick scan using Malwarebytes to look for any common malware, which will slow down and cause problems with pop-ups and all sorts of things. Okay, so that's my tip number one. Now, here's where, let's put me here. Here's where little memory stick, scan disk, a 16 gig memory stick, which I got that goes into the arcade stick. So I'll just show you. Let's talk about the structure. Actually, before we do that, let's talk about the artwork. If you're going to download ROMs, you're going to need arcade game artwork, and you'll need to be mindful of the size of the artwork as well. So, for example, if we just put bang, this is like Neo Geo game, beads. Let's put 3D art. 3D art. Go into images. There's some bang beads 3D art there. Let's go back a bit. Okay, so I've got the 3D art image there on the right. So right click, save image as, and just make sure it's saved to your desktop. So as long, that's what I've done here. Okay, just come out of that. Now when you've got your artwork, you need to make sure it's the right size in terms of pixels. Okay, so we do open with, in this case I tend to use Adobe Photoshop Elements folder. Okay. Now I've got that image. I want to resize it. So resize image size, and then here, this is where you can. I don't know if you can see it on the screen or not. I'll try to zoom in a little bit. You need to adjust the image size, the width and the height to whatever the pictures are. Now, for the top of my head, I can't remember the exact size now, off the top of my head. So this, hypothetically, let's say it was about 300 by, I don't know, 400 height. Okay, this is just hypothetical. Okay, I can't remember what it is, but I can show you how you find out anyway in a minute. So then you just do okay, save that, and do save as, And then you want to format, make sure it's a PNG, not a JPEG, PNG. It has to be PNG for it to work. Just save it to your desktop. Okay. I'll save it anyway, so don't say that. Right, so we've got two here now. We've got a new one and the old one. Now, this is the new one that says copy PNG. And we go into, I don't know, get info to double check the properties. You can see on the left, just here, it says, you can see on the properties. So it's reflecting, I can't read. I'll tell you anyway, under dimensions it says 300 times 400, and that's what you want, okay? And it has to be the right size, otherwise you get pictures of all different sizes on your arcade stick, and you don't want that. You all want it the same size. Okay? Now once you've got that, you want to rename the picture. So rename it. It needs to be just as simple. It's just cover PNG it is. So I'll just go to the end. Cover PNG. Okay? So that artwork is all ready for you to use. Now it doesn't have to be a 3D picture like that one, it can be the same with a 2D. But just be mindful that with the 2D pictures and the 3D pictures, do double check by looking at pre-existing pictures done on other ROMs what size pixels they are, because sometimes the 3D artwork, I know on my one, is smaller in terms of pixels than the 2D artwork. Okay, so you do need to save it as a different size. Okay, so that's how you save an example of how to do the artwork. So if you can't really see it too much on the screen, but I'm just explaining what you need to do, and hopefully if you listen carefully you'll get to grips, because it does depend on what program you use. In terms of, as I said, I use Adobe for, it was Adobe, what was it, Photoshop Elements Editor, but whichever program you use. Okay, now you've got the artwork, and hopefully you get somewhere you got the ROM. I'm not going to download the ROM, I don't need to, but that's the idea of it all. So you take the arcade stick where I've got all the files stored. I do have backups as well, but I'm just showing it what I've got on the arcade stick. I mean, you know, what comes on the arcade stick. So here's the memory stick, and then let's go to root. And here's the files. Okay, try to zoom in a little bit more on that. Okay. No, it's not perfect, guys, but it's just trying to. Okay, that's a bit better now. Okay. Now, the important file here, more than anything else, is this one that says update. This is the Hylo hack. Okay. So this is what the arcade stick will look for when you go into settings and you go up into, well, you go into system, then you go up to update, and it will look for this update, and that's the one that will install. So it's important that you keep this update file here, ideally in this location, because if you get any problems with your arcade stick, you can simply go into factory settings and reset them. Okay, and then go back into system and then update, and we install this the update from the memory stick, because it's here. Okay, these other files here are not that entirely relevant, but it's no harm keeping them if you got them with your hack, your version of the hack. Right, so the ASPH folder is basically the ROM set folder. Well, that's where everything's stored for the hack. So this is the hack update for the hack, and this is the actual all the gubbins. Okay, so ASPH folder. Okay, so if you downloaded the hack off the internet, chances are it'll be in as a compressed format, zipped or whatever else. So you need to unarchive it, unzip it, uncompress using whichever software you've got to uncompress it. Okay. And then save the contents to the root. So the root should look like this. So let's start going to a folder. So the first location we're going into is ASPH. That's where everything's stored. So we go in there. Okay, so you see all these files. You may think, what on earth all these do? Okay, let me briefly explain what these do. The games folder contains the artwork for your games. This games 2 is just a duplicate. The program will actually look for this because it's actually looking for one called games. Okay, so this is just like a backup of that one which I've done. So chances are you only may have one folder that says games. And we've got another folder that says ROMs. This is where your Neo Geo game ROMs are stored. Only Neo Geo, not all the other ROMs you may have for your CPS and other systems. They'll all be stored under a folder over here called Hack. That's where your Hack ROMs are, but apart from the Neo Geo ones. Okay, so all the Neo Geo ones are stored here. Okay, obviously not all ones that are built into a computer. I mean into your arcade stick, but you won't be accessing them if you're using the Hack. You would be accessing these versions of the ROMs. Okay. Anyway, image. That's where all the artwork is. Where's, I can't remember that off the top of my head, but it's kind of irrelevant. Ignore that. Sound, ignore. Local. Local is quite useful because that's how you go about editing your game lists and everything else, really. First of all, let's have a quick look at the artwork, where we're going to store the artwork. So we did one called for Bang Beads. So we go into Games. Now, we need to find a folder for Bang Beads. And the folder name will be the same name as the ROM as well, which is relevant. It always needs to be the same name. So if we look, for example, Bang Beads, let's go down. It's there. Okay, so in this folder called Games, all the pictures are stored, both your Neo Geo, Capcom, Arcade, or whatever. They're all stored in the same location. You have a folder. Go into it, Bang Bead, and here we've got lots of different art. Now, the only art that's relevant is one that says cover PNG. That is the one that the program or Hack will look for, and that's the one that will come up on your arcade stick. Okay, so if you use any other art, you need to rename it to cover.png, and this is one I've done before. So basically, if you've done a new art or there's a blank new folder, you just create a folder with the same name as the ROM and then move that picture to that folder. Okay, and then you got your art here. So for example, we've got some 2D art. If I could expand on it, there's a 2D art there if I wanted to use a 2D art, but instead I'm using a 3D art, which is that one. Okay, now if you want to know the size of the art, like I said, I couldn't remember exactly off the top of my head what the size was. I just go into Get Info, and on the left, again, you won't be able to see this now, but don't worry about it. It'll bring up the description. If you go down to Dimensions, again, I'm not going to show it to you, but it's there. It will say the art of Dimensions, which is 175 pixels by 254 pixels. So whenever you make new 3D art, it needs to be that size. If you're doing 2D art, well, if I go into this one and do right click, Get Info, with 2D art, the pixels are 254 by 299. Okay, as long as it matches this pixel size to the other artwork you got on the other games on your system, which will probably be the same as this, then that's fine. That's fine. Okay. Okay, so that's the artwork. Let's come out. Okay, now the ROMs for the games, if you go into Hack, there'll be another folder called ROMs. Now this is different to that first folder we saw that said ROMs. That's just had Neo Geo. This has got all the other ROMs in. You go into a folder, and it may have a folder set up like this, and all my ROMs for both my Capcom and Final Burn Alpha are all in the same folder, just called FBA. So you go into FBA, and here are all the ROMs, game ROMs. Okay, now it doesn't matter how many ROMs you've got in this folder, because it'll only look for one that under a particular name. So if you want backup ROMs or different versions of ROMs, as long as they're named differently, they're all fine. And you notice they're all zip files too. Okay. Now, some ROMs, you may have some ROMs with the same of the same game with a slightly different name. So it's like different versions of a ROM for the same game. Okay. So this is so important that you take note of the ROM name, and that ROM name is the same name that you use throughout, both for the folder that you keep the art in, and also for your game lists, which I'll show you in a minute. So all your ROMs that work there are in there, okay? And if the ROM that you download doesn't work, then check the details, make sure you got the right name, blah blah blah, and if it is the right name, then you may find that you might need to try a different version of that ROM, okay? But just be mindful that some of the ROMs will not work whatever you do. I had a ROM set of about 410 Final Burn Alpha arcade games, which I got off from the internet from some other people who were doing this Hylo hack. And when I worked through those ROMs, deleting ones that didn't work and deleting ones that had Japanese text in the game or was simply played back too slowly, I whittled that list from 410 games down to 230 arcade games. That's excluding all the Capcom games and obviously excluding Neo Geo. Okay, so you won't find, don't expect all the ROMs out there to work. Some will and some won't. Out of interest, I know there was problems with Raiden 2 on some game lists, and Raiden 2 EG.zip, that's the one that works. There's the other ones that are called just simply Raiden 2 zip. That won't work. But if you can find one that says Raiden 2 EG zip, that will work. But make sure obviously you change the folder of your artwork to that same name. Okay, so otherwise the game won't have its artwork on the selection screen on your arcade stick. Okay, let's go out of that folder now. These other folders are for the other systems if you decide to go for home consoles and everything else really. I'm not going to talk about those, I'm just focusing on arcade, so CPS games and arcade games. And like I said, the CPS games and arcade games are all in that folder. All the ROMs are. Okay, come out there. Right. Okay, image is more about artwork for the system itself. Okay, I'll go into that in a minute. But first of all, if we go down to a folder, just move that out a little bit, that says local. Okay, in here is where all the game lists are. Okay, now these folders, you come here that says English, French, German, Italian. Basically, these are the names of the language folders that are under the settings, the options on the arcade stick. But what we've done, we've changed the content of those. So because I only use 3 folders, which are English folder, simplified Chinese folder, and traditional Chinese folder, I've only changed those contents. The other folders are French, German, Italian, Portuguese, Russian, Spanish. In my version of the hack, they all still do a language translation, so I haven't changed those. Now, if you're trying to work out what ROMs you've got in each, you see a little folder, a little file on the left that says language array .ini. Okay, look for that one, language underscore array .ini. You right click that one, because it's an execute file, you need to open with text edit. Okay, you go into that folder there. Let me see if I can move this so it's a bit more okay. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. Here it will say on the left, the English folder, it says SNK Neo Geo. So basically, before on the arcade stick, before you modified it, I probably will say English equals in little, in that little, not quite speech mark, but little sort of triangles on the side in that area. That is the text that you see actually on the arcade stick on the settings. So at the moment it says SNK Neo Geo 150. If you want to change it to a different name, by all means you can change it. So if you find that you haven't got 150 games but less, you can just change 150 on it. Whatever you want to do. Under the simplified Chinese folder I've got there, I've got Capcom CP system. Again, 80. And then under traditional Chinese, I've got Final Burnt Alpha 230. Now, like I said, you can change that text to whatever you want it to say on the selection. So if you want to say arcade games instead of Final Burn Alpha, you can do that. Also, the ordering on this is where you want the order of the folders. Okay. So, for example, if you wanted the Neo Geo English folder not at the top, the first thing you see, but further down, just copy it, cut it, and move it down beneath to wherever you want it in the order of these sort of menus or these little folders. Okay. So here, my Neo Geo game list is under English. My Capcom CPS games are under simplified Chinese, and my traditional, my Final Burn Alpha or arcade games are under traditional Chinese. Okay. So just come out of that. So we go back here. So if I'm looking at Final Burn Alpha arcade games, I need to go into traditional Chinese, and these are the lists. Now these pictures here tell you what the size of the text, which you may have options. I know on my one to change the font of the text. So in this case, I went for a larger font. So the file it's looking for when choosing the font size of the name of the arcade games is font.ttf. The old font, which is a smaller font, is called font back, which I just changed. I just inserted that BAK in, just so that's a backup TTF. Okay, so it won't look for that because it's only looking for font TTF when it's looking at font size. But you may not have that set up on your game list. You may not have the name of the arcade games. So you'd be asking, well, where are the name of the arcade games? Well, what you do is you go into a folder called games.ini. Again, right click, open text editor, and move over here. And here is all your game list. Okay, and on this folder it says arcade 230 games. Don't worry too much about what it says there, because that won't affect what you see on the actual arcade stick. It's just for your own reference, so you know you've got 230 games in my case. So the instructions for the first game in that list, and for your first game it always starts off with 0 for whatever reason, it just does, under ID. So when you do your game list, your first game will be 0, your second will be 1, and so forth. Under time, again, ignore that. Under type, if you put in a number like 1, 2, 3 or 4, it will correspond to a particular code for a type of or category of game it is. So I think a fighting game may be number 2 or something like that, and it will come up as FGT or something next to the game on your selection list on your arcade stick if you want to bother with type. To be perfectly honest, I'll ignore all the types and just make sure they're all blank really. Next it says name. Now this is the name of the game that will be displayed on the screen if you want the name of the game displayed on the screen. Okay, so in this case 1942 will come out as 1942. Now if I want to change that name, add change the text, so you just go into it and add to it. So you want to change it like 1942, put Jap version, you just do that. Okay, and that will be the name of the title. Okay, so you can do it whatever you want, okay, but keep it simple. Now the next bit, the most relevant bit, is a bit that says dir, a directory. This is what the program will look for in terms of the name of the artwork and also the name of the ROM. And this one that says 1942 is so important because that is the name of the folder that contains the artwork and also a name of the ROM. And it's so important you get that name exactly right, that matches your ROM and your artwork folder. Okay? If you change your ROM, try a different ROM, then obviously you'll need to make sure you change that name in that directory to whatever it is. So if it's 1942B or whatever else. But likewise, if you did that, make sure you change the folder of the artwork to 1942B as well. Okay? Now, if you want to add another game, the most simplest way of doing it is you just select what it was done before, all those folders, right click, copy, and then insert it wherever you want it in terms of the sequence of the games to be shown on the list. So just do paste, okay, and then I'll change the ID to number 2 if you want to, and then change the name to what the name of the game that you want it to be called, and also a directory name, which is obviously the name of the ROM and the artwork. Okay. Now, where you have this pasted will be how it comes up on your list. So if you have it there, then that'll be shown as the second game on your list on your arcade stick. If you want it at the end, move it to the end. Okay? But ID numbers, again, they're there just for your own reference. You can keep track of how many games you've got yourself on the list. If you want to remove the game list, if you think a game doesn't work or you don't like that game, just go into locate the game on this list and right click and cut. You don't need to delete the game art or ROMs and stuff. It will just simply ignore those. Okay? And then once you're finished with doing your changes to your game list, you go up to File, Save, and File, Close. Dominant Games is on a volume. It does not support permanent version. That's because it's a memory stick. If you did it on a computer, it will support older versions, but in my case it doesn't. So do OK. Okay, so I've modified there the game list for the Final Burn Alpha games. Okay, and that's quite helpful for me. Now let me double check something. I was wanting to double check something. No, ignore that. I'm just double checking my own reference. Okay. So that's how you add games, modify games. And obviously to test a game, you've got to just come out of everything and stick it in your memory stick and turn it on. And that's it really. That's how you go around modifying it. This is what you do on a computer. So I just wanted to show you guys how you go about adding games and modifying games. Okay? Like I said before, that Final Burn Alpha games were under a folder called Traditional Chinese in my case. But if you want to modify Neo Geo games, this is probably your first folder that says English. Just go into it again, go into Game INI, open with, text edit, and again here it will have all the Neo Geo games. Starting off with Game, Naught, Free Count, Bout, and everything else, okay? And in this case it's got all 150 games. Okay? Again, once you've finished doing those, just come out of it. Okay. Now, of interest, back into ASPH folder. This BioSME folder, whatever you do, that program is one that does your screen saves, your save states. Don't delete that. There's one called BioSME old, which is the old version, which doesn't work very well. It's a bit choppy, so they replaced that for Hylo people. Okay, so that's it, and that's all you need to know really. I sort of pretty much self-taught myself learning this, but spending a lot of hours doing this, so that's how you go about adding games if you want to. But to be honest, just be mindful that that any games you add may not necessarily work for whatever reason. And like I said, but I've shown you how to add games. And if you want to change the artwork, again, just do what I've just done as well and just change the artwork that's stored under a folder to whatever you want it to be. But just be mindful of the pixel size when you do that. Okay. Hi guys, I've got to show you how to edit or change the background artwork to your game selection, your game folders, your game library. So you want to change the background artwork to your Neo Geo background, the desktop picture type thing on your arcade or the Capcom games or Final Burn Alpha, or how you do it. So basically, going back into your root of your memory stick, go into ASPH folder, go into a folder that says images, and under here we've got all the artwork we have. Now the ones that are relevant that you need to pay attention to is an image that says global underscore background underscore, and if there's more than one images, they'll be here, it'll be say 0, and now 0.png. Okay, so this is our Neo Geo background artwork, the red picture. Okay, if I want to change that to a different picture, I'll just choose another artwork and that might be here, so I've got one that's blue, but just change it to the same name as that, global underscore BG underscore 0png. Now for my Capcom, the folder, well, the name of the artwork is called global underscore BG underscore 1.png. Okay, so this is the artwork for the second folder, which is basically Capcom games. So we go in here as a background artwork. Okay, now when you're choosing background artwork for your games, just be mindful, if you've got, like, well, if you want to see the number of a game that comes up in the top right, and you've got all that set up as well as the title of the games, then make sure you've got a light background artwork, and ideally not too much going on in it, because otherwise it may not look so good. So obviously these artwork, black font words and numbers come up nice, they do. Okay, so let's come out that one. And the other one we had was global underscore background underscore 2.png, which is for my Final Burn Alpha games, which is the artwork. I've chose this. Again, if you go and choose your own artwork, just be mindful of this. Yeah, you're gonna have to change the dimensions of the art that you download. So we go to open with, if we go to get information, you won't see it, but I'll tell you what the dimensions are. 1280 times 720 pixels. Okay, so if you're downloading any art off the internet, you're going to have to resize it to those dimensions, and so ideally you want to download images that are large, otherwise it'll become highly pixelated when you increase it to those pixels. Okay, so look for a large image size, otherwise it will become distorted. Okay, so I've got other artwork here I've downloaded. For example, there's one of Final Burn Alpha, this artwork as well. Again, I make sure it's the same dimensions. But basically the program will ignore these artworks because I haven't used those same file names, which is what you need for backgrounds. Okay, now there's these other folders and so forth. They also do part of the intro menu. So there's basically a blue set and a red set, which you can change again if you want to modify it even more if you wish to. But to be honest, I would avoid that, doing too many changes if you don't know what you're doing. Now, if you want to change, let's say, the artwork of your icon on the screen that moves underneath the game, which I've got like pictures of game characters. So like, I've got Terry Bogard, Mega Man, and also I've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Go into main, and basically the folders that you'll be looking for are ones that are called game underscore focus underscore 1. So that is your icon for your first folder, which is the Neo Geo. So if we go into that, it's got all the sorry, number 1 is the second folder, tell a lie. So it's got Mega Man on. okay, if I double click, it'll show you what that's the icon of Mega Man. You can just about see it there, yeah. And it has all the animations of the pictures. Okay. So basically, the folder you want for your first folder, which is Neo Geo, will be game_focus _0. So that'll be for your first folder, which is obviously Neo Geo in our case, and that's got Terry Bogard on. Picture of Terry there. And game_focus_2, which is my third folder. So it's 0 for the first one, 1 for the second folder, and 2 for the third folder. Okay. And obviously, if you've got more folders, you'll obviously have higher numbers. You've got more folders that you got games stored in. Here I've got some backups of other game focuses. So as long as you change the name to something that doesn't correspond to that, you can just save them as backups. So here I've got a game focus for, of one of another Neo Geo character. It's all there. So if I wanted to swap, that to a particular folder, I just need to change the name of that folder to either game focus _0 or 1 or 2, whatever it corresponds to. Okay. So there's a few little tips on how to do some modifications, guys. Okay. Hope it's all right, and take care and keep safe.